Good morning. The committee will come to order. We face few issues more difficult, complex, or important than separation of powers in general and excesses of the executive branch in particular. As our first great civil libertarian in my mind, Thomas Jefferson, wrote, "The greatest calamity which would befall us would be submission to a government of unlimited powers." And so it's for that reason that the founders gave Congress the power to oversee the executive branch as well as the power of the purse, the power to decide when the country goes to war, and the power to remove, through the constitutional process, officers who may have violated their oath. And so it's for these same reasons that the founders created independent courts to operate as a check on the two political branches and to serve as the final protector of our precious rights and liberties. It's no secret that I have grave concerns about the excesses in the exercises of the executive branch authority as has been used in this present administration. And at my direction, this committee has spent a considerable portion of its time, energy, and resources investigating allegations concerning the politicization of the Department of Justice, the misuse of signing statements, misuse of authority with regard to detention, interrogation, and rendition of detainees and others, possible manipulation of intelligence regarding the Iraq War, improper retaliation against critics of the administration, including the outing of Valerie Plame, and excessive secrecy by the administration, including the misuse of various privileges and immunities. I believe the evidence on these matters is both credible and substantial and warrants direct answers from the most senior members of the administration under oath, if at all possible. This member, the second longest serving in the Congress, has a 40-year track record of opposing governmental injustice by both Republican and Democratic presidents, regardless of who the next president is and who is in the congressional majority next year. Congress and the American people will be struggling with the legacy of these excesses. By the same token, I have good friends on my own side of the aisle who say we have done too little and too late. I would remind all of us that in the prior Congress, when I wasn't chairman, I held forums on the presidential election in Ohio, what went wrong in that election, the Downing Street minutes, hearings, hearings on warrantless wiretapping, and there have been at least 2 comprehensive reports made on these matters. In this Congress, the Committee on Judiciary has held more than 45 separate public hearings on these matters, bringing in a range of witnesses, including the former Attorney General, a couple of past Attorney Generals, and so we come here, also 2 heads of the Justice Department Office of Legal Counsel, 2 current and former Deputy Attorneys General, the Special Counsel Patrick Fitzgerald, the Department of Justice White House Liaison Monica Goodling, the former Secretary of State of Ohio Kenneth Blackwell, Douglas Fife, Scott McClellan, Ambassador Joseph Wilson, to name a few. We pursued criminal contempt against Harriet Myers, the President's former lawyer, and Josh Bolton, his Chief of Staff, in the Department of Justice and in federal court. And we expect to take action against Carl Wolves for his refusal to obey our committee-issued subpoena. I've also been involved, as have other members on the committee, opposing the spying on Americans and wiretapping phones and warrantless surveillance, and have opposed many of the modifications in the wrong direction, in my view, of the FISA bill. We've helped initiate numerous Inspector General investigations and Office of Professional Responsibility investigations, and have passed legislation into law limiting abusive United States attorney appointments. And we're not done yet. We do not intend to go away until we achieve the accountability that the Congress is entitled to and the American people deserve. I believe it's in all our interests to work together to rein in any excesses of the executive branch, regardless of whose hands it's in, Democratic, Republican, Libertarian, or Independent. Whether it was the suspension of habeas corpus during the Civil War, the Palmer raids during World War I, the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, COINTELPRO that came out of the White House during Vietnam. We know the executive branch can and does overreach frequently during times of war. As one who was included on President Nixon's enemies list, I'm all too familiar with the specter of an unchecked executive branch, and the risks to our citizens' rights are even graver today as the war on terror has no specific end point. And so I conclude, our great challenge as a committee, as a Congress, as a people, is to find a way to work together to protect these rights and develop a record and a process for addressing and correcting the abuses, a process that will stand the test of time in a manner that serves our nation and our Constitution. I hope today's hearings will be a beginning to make progress in that direction. And I'm pleased now to recognize the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee from Texas, the distinguished member, Lamar Smith.